Are you looking for a car that can do this? Make sure to stay until the end because I have 10 cars that can do this and many other things for car enthusiasts under $5,000. So let's get right into it. First off, welcome back. My name is Blago. The first car on this list is very fun to drive, has tons of potential. It's the Hyundai Genesis PK1. Now, the first generation is basically identical to the second one, only the facelift in the front. This is a rear-wheel drive coupe that looks amazing. Comes with 274 horsepower, 275 torque, has great tuning potential. This car can make 300 horsepower with bolt-ons easily. People have gone well beyond that without any major reliability issues. However, out in the 300 area is where the safe zone is. I mean, look at it, it looks great. It has great body lines. You can lower it, put some great wheels on it, make it look mean. A few things to consider are that sometimes there have been reports that the manual transmission will not want to go into a certain gear. It's a defect from the manufacturer. And also, if you're the second owner, you have 60,000 miles of warranty on the drivetrain. So if you blow it up or the transmission lets go, it should be covered by the warranty. Maybe you want a sedan and not a coupe. Maybe you want something more refined. I would suggest getting the BMW 530 or 535 I E60. The 530 comes with an inline 6 non-turbo, and the 535 comes with the turbo inline 6, which makes a lot more power and is a lot more fun to drive. But because of that, it has a lot more issues, namely the high fuel pump is a common failure and it can leave you stranded when you're on a road trip. So if you're looking for one that's more reliable, I would go for the 530. But if you want huge tuning power and capabilities, I'll go with the 535. It comes with 302 horsepower and 295 torque from the factory, and you can boost it and turn it up. A lot of people suggest getting the sport package as it makes a huge difference on how the car handles and drives. Now you can get it in a manual or in an automatic. Maybe you're looking for a sedan that's Japanese and not German, a bit more reliable. So I would say don't look any further than the Infiniti G35 third generation, because it shares the same engine as the 350Z and 370Z. Now it comes in a coupe or a sedan, 6-speed manual or automatic. They have 280 horsepower and 270 foot-pound of torque, which is plenty. Some of the issues that you can encounter and be wary of is the crankshaft sensor fails, the brake light switch fails, the throttle body needs carbon cleaning every so often. It should be cleaned when the erratic idle occurs. The timing chain fails sometimes, and the fuel neck filler gets corroded sometimes. Generally speaking, they're a great car with good interior and they're reliable enough, and they look great when modified. If you're still looking for something with even more reliability, then I would suggest you go with the Acura Tsx, as it's really reliable. It comes with a K-series motor, which is one of the most renowned Honda motors that can be turboed and handle boost very well. And it can be attained fairly cheaply compared to some other cars that need to be turboed. It's a fun car to drive. It's a great looking sedan, especially if you decide to drop it and put some nice wheels on it and maybe even wide body it. Whatever you want to do, there's tons of modifications you can do to them. Now, if it's your first car and you don't want any kill you speed, I would suggest going with the Lexus IS 250, the second generation. It comes with a naturally aspirated V6, makes 205 horsepower and 185 torque, which is plenty for a new driver. They come with a manual and an automatic, and they also come rear-wheel drive or all-wheel drive. Now, this is a car that it's not made to go fast, that's made for comfort and to look good. Now most of the mods are look good mods. Obviously you have your exhaust system and your air intakes and all that jazz, but it's not really worth it to turbo it because the engine is not that great and you can't get that much out of it anyways. Some notable issues to consider: the carbon buildup, some melted interior pieces, the door lock anchors like to fail sometimes. But overall, it's a pretty reliable car that looks great, has a great interior, and can get you from point A to point B safely. Now, if you don't want a sedan and you really want a coupe, and you want a cheap coupe that is reliable and that has great looks and you can eventually modify and turbo it and get a lot out of it, I would suggest the Acura Rsx. Now the Acura Rsx is a great platform. It's a hatchback 2-door 6-speed manual with the K-series motor mentioned previously in the TSX, which handles a lot of boost. You can make 300 horsepower easily and cheaply compared to other cars that you need to boost. It's lightweight, so 300 horsepower is more than enough for this little car, and it's front wheel drive. Now there's two versions of this car. There's the normal Acura Rsx and there's the Acura Rsx Type S. The Type S comes with 201 horsepower and 142 pound-feet of torque at 8100 RPM. Now that's plenty of RPM. It screams, it has VTEC, all the goodies. But the normal one has 155 horsepower out of the factory with 141 torque at 6800 RPM, which is still more than enough. But if you don't want a coupe that's front wheel drive, if you want a coupe that's rear wheel drive, then look no further than the BMW 335 E92. Now the E90 and the E92 are great platforms for tuners. They come twin turboed from the factory. They make 306 horsepower, 295 pound-feet of torque. They're known as the modern day 2JZ. They can be pushed on internals, stock internals, to 500 horsepower without any issues on bolt-ons. So if that's what you're looking for, I would strongly suggest it. The E90 is the sedan, the E92 is the coupe version. They come with rear-wheel drive, all-wheel drive, they come with manual, automatic. They have great interiors because they're BMW, and because they're BMW they also have some reliability issues and concerns. Notably, the high fuel pump can be a failure point. The carbon buildup, which I would recommend to clean and get rid of. The injectors sometimes fail, the ignition coils like to fail, the valve cover gaskets always tend to leak, and there's that wastegate rattle that's hard to get to. Now, if you're not planning on working on it yourself and going to the dealership to get all these things fixed, it's gonna cost you a pretty penny, so I would not recommend this for you. But if you're going to be doing it yourself, or mostly yourself, then it's a great car with tons of modifications and a great platform that can handle tons of abuse. Now the 8th car on this list is a car that I think gets overlooked often. It's the Toyota Celica 7th generation, or basically the last generation of Celica. It comes in two models, the GT and the GTS. The GT makes 140 horsepower and the GTS makes 180 horsepower. They come with a 6-speed manual. They're Toyota, so they're reliable. Except for the 2000 to 2001 model year, they tend to burn oil, but that issue was later resolved in the later model years. One other thing people report happening is the struts for the hatch tend to fail, but that's true of any other vehicle that has struts, gas struts, so keep that in mind. But other than that, it's a great little car. Now, these cars can't really handle that much boost, so it's not really worth it to spend the money to boost them. You're better off just making them look good, and good they do look, just like this one. However, If you're looking for a coupe that you want to boost, I would recommend the Rsx previously mentioned over the Celica. Now the 9th car is capable of doing this. That's right, this car shares the same engine as the Toyota Supra. It's the Lexus GS 2nd generation. Now, this car comes with 2 engines. The 1UZ FE, which is a V8, and the 2JZ GE and GTE. Inline 6 turbo engine, able to handle tons of power. There's tons of people out there running 500, 600, 700 horsepower on stock internals. The only downside of this car, I would say, is that it only comes with an automatic. But this car was built for luxury and comfort, and it has a great interior for that. And if that's what you're looking for, plus the performance and tunability of a Supra, this is literally the car that you would look for. And they look amazing, like the one you're seeing on screen right now. It's a Toyota, so it doesn't have any notable reliability issues. It's solid through the roof, no problems. And even if it does, easy to fix and not that expensive to fix either. Now we are at the last car of this list. This car looks good, fun to drive. It's a coupe, manual, sounds good with an exhaust. It's none other than the Honda Prelude. Any generation of Prelude is good. No generations of Prelude are bad. And because it's a Honda, it can be swapped with any Honda motor, K-series, and make tons of power. They're lightweight, they're reliable, so you don't have to worry about maintenance costs, and they're just really good cars. They're going up in value, so I would recommend, if you can snatch one up, get it, because they're amazing. Now, an honorable mention on this video would go to the Mini Cooper S. Now, these cars are a BMW owned product, and as a BMW owned product, they have quite a few reliability issues, quirks, so if you're not up for that, stay away from it. But they're cars that are not very often modified. You don't see that often, so you'll be unique. They come with a manual and an automatic. The interior is a little bit iffy. You have to really like it to like it. But other than that, good little fun cars, nimble, good to drive. So that's gonna be it for today's video, guys. Thank you so much for watching. If you liked it, please leave a like. It helps me out tremendously. And if you're not subscribed, consider subscribing. It takes me a lot of effort to make these videos, and what better way to make sure not to miss any of my future videos than subscribing and hitting that bell so you get notified when I post my next video. And with that said, don't forget, live your life to the fullest, and I'll see you next time around.